Hi, I'm Gabe Huff, and I will be going through my code and my game that I designed. It is a rock, paper, scissors game, a very simple game, but I made it multi and single player and on Python code. So let's get right to it. The first thing that we have here is our defined variables that are used when the user says they want to play against the computer. So we have 3 rounds, easy, medium, or hard, that the computer can run, and each one has a different possibility of whether or not the user is going to win, lose, or draw. Of course, easiest having the highest probability to win, and hardest having lowest probability to win, and that's just all here with basic probabilities and basic statistics with the amount. But each one only has 9 possible outputs, and that will be later because I'll explain that later. But the first thing that the user is asked to do is state whether they want to play single or multiplayer. And what this will do will either put them into the ability to go to either the single player version of the code or the multiplayer. So if the user decides that they want to play single player, what I'll do is this first while loop will run. This while loop will run because both the ready equals 0, which only changes if they say they don't want to play anymore, is true, and that they said they want to play single player. Immediately after that, so as immediately as that gets ran, an intro thing runs, which stays on the screen for as long as the user doesn't say that they're ready. So what happens is it opens up a file where I made just very simple, very simple, just with dashes and marks and stuff, just low graphics. So I'll show you here right now. Like this one, welcome to rock, paper, scissors, central, play your own risk, say ready when you are. And what happens is as soon as they say ready, or capital R ready, lowercase ready, or any sign of ready, this while loop will end, that graphics gets closed, and the next part of the code is able to run. So what happens next is another just game setup, what level do you want to play, easy, medium, or hard, how many rounds do you want to play, and another little transition that says good luck. Let's see if I can find it. What's it? Transition.1. I do not have it up, but yes, I do. It's right here. It says good luck. Just very simple. Good luck. Just takes you on to the next thing. So the next line here on line 64, as you can see, it's a result. So what this does is this keeps track of all the results of 1 if the user wins, a 0 if the user ties with the computer, and a -1 if the computer beats the user, which in the end, once they get done with all the rounds in that game, it gets tallied up and it decides who won the overall game. So what happens next is it asks the user, hey, what do you want to play for this first round? Rock, paper, scissors. Which all this is within a for loop that only runs for the amount of rounds that they said they want to play. And it says, hey, do you want to play rock, paper, scissors? Then using that, creates a random integer, which is where that number 9 in the defined variables comes into play, because 1 through 9 is the random number, random range that I do, and then it calls a function using that random number, and depends on what the user's play is, it returns a certain variable, so it gives them that probability to win, lose, or draw that I was speaking about earlier. And just FYI, just a little thing, all the levels, easy, medium, hard, are all the same. So I'm only going to explain one of them because the only difference is the wording on easy, medium, or hard. So once that's played, that decides right there what the computer's play is, rock, paper, scissors. And then we go analyzing it. If they tie, which is very simple, very short, if com play equals the user's play, it prints, oh, you tied this round, and then it appends this list, and it just adds a 0, as I said before. But if that is not the case, then we have a much more long, much complicated thing that really only does one thing. It says if the computer wins, it says computer won that round, and then it appends that list and adds a -1. If the user won, it reads, hey, user won, great. It tells you what the computer played, and then it adds a 1 to the list, which we can see at the bottom of, see, there's the medium if statement, there's the hard if statement, exactly the same, which that list comes into play right here. So right here, it decides the winner of the game, and it tells you the winner of the game. So it goes with for loops, it goes through each one of the results, so whether it appended it to be 0, whether it appended it to be -1 or 1, it goes through each one, and if it equals, for let's say for computer wins equals -1, it'll add 1 to com wins, If it's 1 for user wins as it's going through, it adds 1 to wins, and then if it's 0 as it's going through, it adds 1 to ties. Very simple code, just analyzing a list. And then from there, it opens up another transition, just easy final results, like, hey, I'm telling you if you win, lost, or drawn, and it just says, hey, if computer has more wins than the user won. If the user has more wins than computer, you won. And then if they tied, you tied, which I have little graphics for each one of those too. So you win, and then let's get down to, oh, you tied, and then I have a computer win somewhere, but it's not in here right now, but you might see it later when we actually play the game. But I just forgot to open the file. And then, hey, do you want to play again? If no, it completely ends the code. If yes, it restarts it from the multiplayer. But if the user says they want to play single player, then it runs this next line of code, which, crazy, we already are up to 200 lines of code. This next chunk of code is, I would say, a lot shorter. Even though it's more user-friendly and more interactive, it is a lot shorter because it's much more simple to compare results and to retrieve results. So, user 2, like two player, first thing it asks is, hey, player 1, what's your name? What do you want to be called for the rest of the game? Player 2, what's your name? What do you want to be called for the rest of the game? Just to make it more user-friendly, more fun. And how many games you want to play. With the multiplayer transition this time, actually. So it just says, hey, you're about to play multiplayer. Nice little graphic. Very simple, though. And then again, for I and range of rounds, just so it runs the for loop with this code for just as many rounds as the user said they wanted to play. And it asks user 1, hey, do you want to play rock, paper, scissors? And then after that, this actually was not originally put in, but I put this in. I don't know why I didn't think of it while I was making the game, but I had other people play the game, and they're like, hey, this is something you might want to add. And what it does is it just puts a little break so the user 1 play cannot be seen by user 2 play when you're playing the game. So there's no cheating unless they scroll up and genuinely do cheat. So it asks user 1, what's your play? Transition, user 2, what's your play? And then it compares. If they equal each other, it says you tied. And then it adds 1 to the I, and it doesn't do anything to results, because if they tied, you don't need to do anything to results. If player 1 won, then it says, oh, player 1 name, you won, good, and then it adds 1 to the amount of wins that player 1 has in their list of results. And then if player 2 wins, same thing. Oh, player 2, with their name that they put in, you win. Then it adds to their results. Same thing, just with all the possible outcomes. Then at the end, it compares. So if the amount of times player 1 won equals the amount of time player 2 won, we say tied, which is the transition I already told you. Player 1 won over player 2. Then it says player 1 won, player 2 wins over player 1. Just exactly what you expect, but it still uses their actual names. And it just says here, player 1 wins, player 2 wins, just simple graphics as I've explained before. And then again, would you like to play again? So now let's get into actually playing the game. So we're going to say, because I explained it first, let's play single player. I'm ready. I hope you are ready. And let's go ahead and play hard level for 3 rounds. Okay, what is my play? I'm just going to do one of each. I'm going to do 1 rock, 1 paper, 1 scissors, so I can show you that it works for each one. So rock. Ooh, I lost. The computer played paper, so that means I lost. It shows you that right there. So I'm going to say paper. Oh, I won that one. Computer played rock. So yay, I won that one. And then scissors. Scissors. Oh, dang. So let's see. What did computer play that last time? Computer played rock. So I won. I lost that one, which means I lost the game itself. As this nice little graphic shows. The computer won 2 rounds. I won 1 round. Would I like to play again? Let's say, no, I don't want to play again. Then it ends the code right there. So that was for if I said I wanted to play single player. Now, let's say that I want to play multiplayer. Single 2 player. What is the name of player 1? I'll just use my name. Game. So What's name of player 2? Let's just use my girlfriend's name for lack of better names. You could use anything you want. How many rounds do we want to play? Let's just play 3 again. This makes it easier. Alright, multiplayer is going to play. Gabe, me. What's my play? I'm going to play rock. And then let's say I win. So she's going to play scissors. Okay. Gabe won round 1. Yay. So what's my next play? Let's tie this one. So let's say paper and then paper. So we tie this one. You tied round 2. Okay. So let's say I'm going to play scissors this time. Let's make sure that I lose this one. She's going to play rock. Okay. Kier won round 2. Would I like to play again? No. Okay. So then it ends the code right then and there. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed listening to this code, and